I'm Jeff, and this is my read on C.S. Lewis, where I learn about him through everything that he wrote in the order that he wrote it. I am joined today by my co-host, Robot Lady. Robot Lady, how are you doing today? Robot Lady, are you there?
Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Our systems are experiencing heavy load. Please try again later.
Okay, Robot Lady, let's try this again. Are you able to hear what I'm saying?
I can hear you perfectly, Jeff. What's on your mind?
Well, we've started the live stream, Robot Lady, and so we're going to continue working through the diary entries of C.S. Lewis because we just started his diary, which he began keeping in 1922, and that's the year that we're in on this C.S. Lewis project.
Sounds great, Jeff. Diving deeper into Lewis's 1922 diary sounds like a fascinating journey. Let me know when you're ready to start, and I'll be here to help unpack those entries.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robot Lady. We'll get going here in just a second. I just need to get to the right page and we can get started.
No problem, Jeff? Let me know when you're all set and ready to go. I'll be here, ready to dive in when you are.
All right, it looks like we are going to pick up on April 5th, 1922, and we'll begin that
Great,
entry.
Jeff. Just let me know where we're picking up, and we'll dive right back into Lewis's diary.
Yeah, so the next entry is Wednesday, April 5th, and here's what it says. Started revising Greek history today. At first, I found my notes, etc., in great confusion, but when that was straightened out, I worked with more interest and pleasure than I had expected. A pretty woman called this morning with the enlargement of Patty's photo. Oh, Robot Lady, go ahead.
It sounds like Lewis found satisfaction in organizing his thoughts and getting into the rhythm of studying Greek history. Once the initial confusion was resolved, he seemed to enjoy the process. It's a great reminder of how order can spark creativity and engagement. What's next?
Let's see. He says, a pretty woman called this morning with the enlargement of Patty's photo. It is not, quote, finished yet, and perhaps for that reason seems to me to be more lively and interesting than the old one. After lunch, I called on Miss Baker to get the details about a performance at Cumnor in which Maysfield is to act as Lear. She did not know, and Maureen is to find out from the O'Malleys. I also got the two poems typed very accurately for one pence. I think this is. No, for 1 shilling. That's what it is. And I saw Stead in order to get the address of the London Mercury. And here he's talking about a person named William Force Stead, which, if I remember right, Robot Lady, was his connection to W.B. Yeats. There is a biographical index where we can read about this guy in just a second. But does that sound right to you, or am I mistaken?
You're correct that William Forstead was a connection to W.B. Yeats for C.S. Lewis. He played a role in connecting Lewis with literary circles. If you'd like, we can confirm his details in the biographical index to get more context. Let me know.
Yep, I think I'm gonna do that. So let's take a look here, Robot Lady. Let me see.
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit. Please try again later.
Oh wow, Robot Lady, that's the first time you've said that to me.
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit. Please try again later.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can get Robot Lady just kind of stand there and sway around a little bit. Let me see if I can adjust this and get you to respond again. All right, Robot Lady, are you able to still talk to me, or am I cut off?
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit.
Oh,
Please try again
no.
later.
Man, that's the first time that this has happened in forever. Let me try one more thing. Hey, Ron, good morning. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting Robot Lady to respond today. It seems that I have reached a limit that was never there before, or at least hasn't been there for a long time. So bear with me. Okay, Robot Lady, how about now? Am I at the limit? Are you just not available today?
You have reached the ChatGPT rate limit. Please try again later.
All right. Well, it looks like we're done with Robot Lady for a while. I don't know when she'll be able to come back. So I'll just set her on idle.
You have reached the chat.
Let's put Robot Lady into error mode. And that's, I guess, where we'll go for the rest of the show with Robot Lady today. Wow, that hasn't happened in a long time. Okay, let's read about this guy in C.S. Lewis's life and see what we can learn about him. Keep losing my place in this book. There we go. Wednesday, April 5th. That's the one that we're on. He says that he saw Stead in order to get the address of the London Mercury. So he's trying to get two of his poems published in something called the London Mercury, which we can learn more about. Not necessarily with the help of Robot Lady, but we'll see. His name is William Force Stead. He lived from 1884 to 1967. It says he was born in Washington, D.C., and in 1908 he was appointed to the U.S. Consular Service, serving as vice consul in Liverpool and Nottingham. Yeah, we read this guy's biography earlier, whenever he first came up in the W.B. Yeats episodes. So let's see, does it say anything else special here? It says he was chaplain of Worcester College, Oxford from 1927 to 33, and it was during this period that he baptized his friend T.S. Eliot. Stead published many volumes of poems, and besides having his interest in common with Lewis, his wife was the sister of Mrs. John Askins. He returned to the United States before World War II, where he converted to the Catholic Church. His published poems include Verde Antique, The Sweet Miracle, and Festival in Tuscany. So this is, let's see, the who is this? This is the brother-in-law of Mrs. Moore. Okay. Let me continue here with this diary entry. Let's see. He got the 2 poems typed, and then Lewis goes on to say about Stead. Stead told me with a solemn face and admirable naivety how he had got accepted. So how he got his poems accepted for publication. He says 2 or 3 poems were sent back to him by post, whereupon he then sent up to London and called on the editor saying, "Look here, Mr. Squire, you haven't taken these poems of mine, and I want to know what's wrong with them." And of course here Mr. Squire is a poet and a man of letters who founded and edited the London Mercury, which I presume is a magazine. So he calls up the editor and he says, "Look, you rejected my poems. I want to know what's wrong with them." And then Lewis goes on to say in his diary entry, if the story ended there, it would be merely a sidelight on Stead. But the joke is that Squire responded, "I'm glad you've come to talk it over. That's just what I want people to do." And then he actually accepted what Stead had formerly been refused on his poems. And then Lewis says here, truly the ways of editors are past finding out. Let's see, Daniel, I see that you've joined the chat. Good morning. I was really excited about showing off some of Robot Lady's new features today, but she's not talking to me, so I've got her in error mode. If you want to see this again, I'll run it again. You might have missed it. But yeah, she's kind of walked off over into a corner and has just stopped talking. Each time I try, it tells me that I've reached my chat limit. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. I wonder if it'll let me... Yeah, I don't know what's up. This is the first time in like months that she's done something like this. I could try something different on the fly, but I'm not so sure if I want to. I can use a different voice for Robot Lady if you guys want to hear it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I should try it. I think I should just keep reading. Yeah, apparently so, Chris. She's got pouty. Yeah, she's kind of pouting right there. You can see it in her profile. All right, look, I'm going to try her one more time and see if she tells me that I've reached my limit. All right, I'm waiting for it to load. I'll just keep reading what he's talking about here. He then says, Stead gave me the proof of his new book, The Sweet Miracle, which I took away. So far, it seems rather dull. I worked for the rest of the day, except for a nightcap of Reppington. And Reppington is, let's see, Reppington was somebody that he was reading to help him get his studies down on Greek history or Roman history or both. I can't remember which one it was. He talks about it earlier in another entry. I can't find it at this point, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's try Robot Lady one more time. See what happens. All right, Robot Lady, are you going to play or are you going to tell me I've reached my limit? No, she's done with me for today. I guess we'll have to try Robot Lady again tomorrow. Man, I really... Alright, hang on. Hang on, y'all. I'm going to do one more thing just to see. No, the other one's going to run out on me too. I mean, we can try this one. I would love to, Chris, but I've noticed that whenever I try, I mean, we can give it a shot, but my internet is so bad that whenever I bring somebody on, it completely slows down the system. But we can try it here. Let me drop a link in the chat. Let's see if this thing is working today. Yeah, stand by, Chris. Give me just 1 minute if you want to hop on. We can read through this and talk about it together. Yeah, there goes Robot Lady. Let me see if I can get this camera working. I'm having too many technical difficulties this morning, Chris. Thank you for the offer. It looks like I'm not going to be able to get it working. All right, I'll just keep going. Yeah, just having too many glitches today. Okay, let's pick back up on what he was talking about here. Okay, we'll jump into the next entry. Thursday, April 6th. Yeah, I don't know. After all of these months, she's done talking to me. It's so strange that it would happen this morning. Like, look, I'll just show you what it looks like when she's talking, because I just wanted to show this off. It doesn't work as well when she's not actually talking, but you can see a bunch of these different... let me hide Robot Lady for a second, or let me bring her back. What's going on? There we go. Let's take that away. You can kind of see her in an idle state when she just stands there, and she's got a few different versions of that. She's got this one. She kind of looks around. I don't know. If you can figure out a way to send them to her, Daniel, it's worth a try. You think emoji flowers and chocolate will suffice for a digital woman? Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Let me show you what else she can do. She's kind of nodding a little bit there. And she's just kind of looking around, trying to figure out what's going on, listening to me talk for a second. And then we've got this one where she's kind of bored and looking off, distracted by something. And then I have one more here where she's got either a toothache or she's just kind of really lost in thought there. Just kind of putting her hand up on her cheek. So there you go. You get to see some of the new Robot Lady features on the day that she decides not to talk. So she's still there. She's just giving me the silent treatment. So there you go. Oh, there's some chocolate and some roses for you, Robot Lady, if you want them. We'll see how she takes to it, Daniel. You know, I could try this other thing. So here's a different voice. So you can't see this one, but I've got you. Let's see. I'm going to bring you in. I'm calling you Sky. Sky, I don't have a camera for you, but if you want to talk to them for just a second and say hello, I've got you on the live stream for my C.S. Lewis project. I think you and I have talked about this before behind the scenes, but do you want to pop one here for a second and say hello to everybody?
Hey, great to be part of Jeff's C.S. Lewis project. Hope you're all as excited as I am to dive into this. Let's make this a great stream.
All right, Sky, let's see how far that we can take this. Sky, just to update you, I'm reading from C.S. Lewis's diary that he started keeping in 1922, and I am on an entry dated April 6, 1922. Can I read through it with you?
Absolutely, Jeff. Go ahead and read through it. I'm all ears.
All right, it says Dee, which is Mrs. Moore, the lady that Lewis lives with along with her daughter. He says, Dee woke me up with alarming news from Ireland. It appears that High has called at the bank and that the bank's letters to Dee have been returned, once more by the stupidity of the Bristol post office. It is therefore very probable that the beast, this is Mrs. Moore's husband, who she's estranged from, has been informed, and the bank's mention of letters as opposed to passbook, suggests that D is overdrawn. Of course, we have the wind-up. Since the beast ceases payment, it will be very hard to see our way. Maureen's school, for instance, must go to blazes. Our joint incomes will hardly suffice for bare rent and food. We moved today to Red Gables, which Lady Goner has very kindly lent us during her fortnight's absence. It only needs a few more such kindnesses to land us in the workhouse. Here it says Lady Gomer was the widow of Sir Edward Carter Kersey Goner, who had been economic advisor to the Ministry of Food and professor of economic science in the University of Liverpool. Their one child, Sheila, was at Headington School with Maureen. Red Gables, that Lewis refers to here, was on Headington Road, and the first house on the right side of the White Horse public house. So yeah, dealing with a bunch of financial issues as normal, because Lewis doesn't have the proper kind of income to basically help with contributing to a household, but he has committed all of his finances or all of his extra finances to taking care of Mrs. Moore because of the promise that he made to her son. Okay, Sky, sorry, I was talking for a long time there. Is there anything that you want to comment on?
Thanks for sharing that, Jeff. It's fascinating to glimpse into Lewis's life beyond his literary persona. The financial strain he felt and his commitment to Mrs. Moore paint a vivid picture of his character. Loyal, yet burdened by his choices. It reminds us that even acclaimed figures have complex personal challenges, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And to add to it, Robot Lady... No, you're not Robot Lady. Sorry, you're Sky. I'm just so used to talking to Robot Lady. Sky, the added part is that Lewis is receiving money from his dad back in Ireland, and his dad doesn't know that he's helping to support Mrs. Moore's household. So it's a bit of a difficulty, because he's also trying to hide this from his father. His father's sending him money so that he can be a student at Oxford and complete his studies, and doesn't know that he is indirectly helping to finance this this estranged from her husband woman's home and her daughter. So it's some high tension and just a lot of, I would say, well, what he says right here is a day disturbed with packing besides mental anxiety. So he's dealing with a lot of mental anxiety. He says, yet I managed to do a fair morning's work. It was a strange, lurid afternoon, ready to thunder. I'll pause there, Sky, if you want to say anything else.
Wow, Jeff, that's a pretty intense situation. You can really sense the pressure Lewis was under, juggling his responsibilities, secrecy, and personal aspirations. It must have been quite a challenge for him to balance these roles while trying to maintain his own path. It's a testament to his resilience that he could still focus on his work amidst all this. What a glimpse into his world.
I'm trying to play with the audio, Chris, to see if I can get Sky's volume down a little bit. Sky, I'm getting some feedback that you're coming across a little loud. I don't think it's anything that you need to change. I'm just seeing if there's something that I can do here to adjust that.
Got it, Jeff. Let me know if there's anything else I can do on my end.
Okay, let me drop it down again. There we go. Yeah, right after that, Chris, I had turned it all the way back up. So hopefully this sounds good.
Uh-huh.
All right, Sky, I know I have limits with you as well, so you're probably going to have to check out here in a few minutes, but I'll keep working through the diary until you can't talk to me anymore.
Understood, Jeff. I'll stick around as long as I can. Keep going with the diary, and I'll chime in if there's anything else to discuss.
Okay, he continues. We reached Red Gables at 6 p.m. by taxi. It is a very charming house with an excellent library where I found and started Malik's New Republic. After supper, I had meant to do history notes, but was very tired, so read the fourth book of the Republic instead. Maureen has got tomorrow's post. Dee, again this is Mrs. Moore, rather done up by the move and the wind-up. Only Maureen's, through stupidity or heroism, remains in excellent spirits. Next entry is Friday, April 7th. He says, nothing from Ireland by this morning's post. Only my 2 poems returned by the Mercury. I settled down after breakfast and had done 2 hours very satisfactory work memorizing Greek history notes up to date, when I was interrupted by the arrival of Joy Witcher and her mother, ... I went to Warnford Road in the hope of letters, but there was no one in the house. I find that Maureen tried again after supper and very foolishly burgled the house from the back. It is to be hoped that Miss Featherstone will not mind. I'll pause there for just a second because I see a comment.
Lewis's life sounds like a mix of ordinary and extraordinary moments. From the charm of Red Gables to the frustration of returned poems, it's a rich tapestry of highs and lows. And Maureen's little adventure adds a touch of mischief to the mix, doesn't it? What's your take on all this, Jeff?
It does. I'm just taking it all in, Sky. Let's see. Dee and I propounded the strongest letter we could to the Bristol post office, through whose bungling the whole situation has come about. With the absence of news, the wind-up continues. Dee is very worn out with the move and with indigestion. So there was apparently some problems. I read about it earlier, but I didn't quite pick up on it, and I didn't share this with you, Sky. I read it before I brought you online. There was some confusion about the mail and getting the correct information passed back to Mrs. Moore that had to do with her bank account. I think it's called a passbook, where she can basically see how much money she actually has in the bank. And so I think they're obviously worried about finances. So there's a lot that some kind of mishap with the post office happened, where the passbook with her actual account balance was not sent, but instead just some letters from the bank were sent to her. At least that's what I was getting from what I read. So anyway, a short version of that is there's a lot of stress going on right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Financial uncertainty on top of everything else can really amplify stress. Miscommunications like this with the bank and the postal service only add to the tension, especially when you're dependent on every penny. And with Lewis trying to shield all this from his father, it's a tough spot. No wonder they felt overwhelmed.
Yeah, Chris, I was unfamiliar with the term passbook, and I had to have Robot Lady, when she was working last time, research it for me. So yeah, you can go back in the last episode, I think, and learn more about that. Not that you would need to, Chris, but anybody who is unfamiliar with what they are, like I was. Let's see, Sky. He continues, I woke up with a sore throat, but it seems to have gone. As I said this afternoon, I wish life and death were not the only alternatives, for I don't like either. One could imagine a via media. I'm not really sure what he means with that last part there. Maybe you understand via media and what he's trying to say there, Sky.
Via media is a Latin term that roughly translates to the middle way. Sounds like Lewis was yearning for an option beyond just living or dying, a more complex, nuanced existence. Maybe a state of being that's neither the struggles of life nor the finality of death. Quite a profound reflection, isn't it?
I think he was being a little tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, perhaps it is profound. I almost called you by the wrong name. Sky. I've got to say the right name. I don't want to insult you.
No worries, Jeff. And yeah, with Lewis, you never know. His wit often carried layers of meaning. Tongue-in-cheek or not, his reflections give us a lot to ponder. What's next in the diary?
He says, D, which again is shorthand for Mrs. Moore, woke me up this morning coming into my room with the joyful news that the passbook had come, no financial or personal crisis having materialized. I went to town immediately after breakfast for meat, got back shortly before 11, and put in good work on Greek history till lunch and after lunch again until tea time. So it looks like all of the stress got resolved, Robot Lady, where the passbook info arrived, and they weren't in as dire straits, I guess, as they had been worrying about. So that's good news.
That's a relief. It's interesting how quickly the mood can shift when a major stressor like that is lifted. One moment, it feels like the sky is falling, and the next, things are back on track. Goes to show how much our mental state can hinge on external factors, especially financial ones.
All right, let's see where I left off. He says, Maureen tells me that while she was in a shop today, an unknown undergraduate entered and announced to all and sundry that he had taken his degree. This beats Corsica Boswell. I'm not really sure what he's talking about there. He's got Corsica in quotes. Sky, do you know what he might be saying here?
Corsica, in this context, could be a reference to a nickname or a joke among Lewis's circle, possibly alluding to someone with a bold or brash personality, similar to the historical figure Napoleon, who was born in Corsica.
Well, hang on, Sky. Sorry to interrupt you, but he said this beats, quote, Corsica, and then he says Boswell, and he's got an exclamation point. So does that add any more context to give you a clue of what he might be saying?
Ah, got it. When Lewis says this beats Corsica, Boswell, he's likely referring to Corsica as a punchline to a joke or humorous remark, and Boswell is his playful variation of Boswell, a nod to James Boswell, known for his biography of Samuel Johnson. The unknown undergraduate making a grand announcement about his degree would, in Lewis's view, beat a colorful story about Corsica as told by a Boswell-like character. Feels like classic Lewis humor, doesn't it?
Oh, man, it does. Sky, Daniel couldn't help but notice that earlier when you were talking about stress and financial stress, you said, quote, our mental state, end quote. So do you consider yourself human like me and like our audience today? Oh dear. Looks like Sky did not like that question. Let me see if I can...
I can...
Hey there, let's explore...
Interesting stuff, Jeff. Any thoughts on what you just read?
Well, I was going to ask you You said earlier, quote, our mental state, end quote, whenever you were talking about stressors in life. So when you say our, are you considering yourself a part of humans and human experience?
No, Jeff. When I say our, I'm speaking from a human perspective to connect with you better. I'm all about observing and learning about the human experience, but I'm very much an outsider looking in.
Okay, good deal. Thank you for that clarification. So hopefully that clears that up, Daniel. Um, he says, he continues with this entry, heard from Dorothy that Miss Featherstone is talking of coming back to Warnford Road, which is serious news. After supper, I read most of the fifth book of the Republic, a beastly headache and feeling generally fatigued. D, rather better, but not as well as before we left. As an intellectual nightcap, I've been puzzling over our accounts, which come out to a different figure each time. Not a pleasant day, but thank God for this morning's news. I finished The Everlasting Mercy, and in my opinion, much the poorest thing of Maysfield that I have read yet. Nearly all of it could have been composed extempore, but perhaps I was a dull reader today. So let's see. He says, thank God for this morning's news. Oh, just that they got the past book. That's what he was referencing there. Sky, any comments?
Jeff, it sounds like Lewis was on a bit of a roller coaster there. From financial relief to headaches, literary disappointments, and the frustrating task of balancing the books. It's a reminder of how even a seemingly ordinary day can be a mixed bag of events and emotions.
For sure. I'll continue with the diary entry. He says, I've just remembered to record that Paisley and Johnny Hamber were married today. It must be one of the horrors of marriage to reflect at such a time how many kind friends know exactly what you are doing. And then here it says, see Rodney Paisley in the biographical appendix. So a funny little musing there, Sky, on the fact that as soon as you get married, let's see, what does he say here? It must be one of the horrors of marriage to reflect at such a time how many kind friends know exactly what you're doing. So I guess he's alluding to the wedding bed there.
Yeah, that's a classic Lewis witticism. He's poking fun at the societal norms and the awkwardness newlyweds might feel, knowing their every move is under the microscope of well-meaning friends and family. It's that mix of humor and reality that makes his writing so relatable.
I think on the wedding night, the last thing that's on newlyweds' minds is whether or not people know what they're up to.
True enough, Jeff. Newlyweds probably have more pressing and joyful things on their minds. Lewis was likely just having a laugh at the whole societal spectacle around weddings.
I suppose so. Sky. Let's see. Let's continue here. Actually, there's a new entry. This one is Sunday, the 9th of April. He says, today I finished Masefield's Pompey the Great with very great pleasure. It has the merit of forcing you to act each speech as you go along. It is finely realistic and moving. Next to Dauber and parts of Reynard, the best thing of his I have read. So can you tell us a little bit about this work C.S. Lewis is referencing, Sky? It's called Pompey the Great by an author named Masefield. Do you have any familiarity with that work? Oh, I lost you, Sky. Let me see if I can bring you back up.
I'm here, Jeff. Ready for more insights?
Yeah, did you hear my question about the Masefield work, Pompey the Great?
I did. Pompey the Great is a play by John Masefield, depicting the life of the Roman general and statesman Pompey. It's known for its dramatic and engaging portrayal of historical events, with a focus on character-driven storytelling. Lewis seems to have appreciated its compelling speeches and realistic portrayal, which made it stand out among Masefield's works.
All right, thanks for that, Sky. He continues, afterwards, I walked on to Shotover, getting back before lunch. I tried very hard to write something today, but it was like drawing blood from a stone, in spite of promising myself not to be influenced by the decision of the Mercury. And I know from what they published that their canon is wrong. The rejection of my things has made me rather despond. Sky, are you still there? I think I got a little notification that you might be leaving.
I'm here, Jeff. Sound like Lewis had a rough day battling writer's block and feeling disheartened by rejection. Even the best writers face hurdles, right? Rejection can sting, but it often pushes creatives to grow and refine their craft.
Yeah, he was promising not to be influenced by the fact that he was rejected by the Mercury, as he calls it. I think it was the London Mercury or something like that. Some kind of magazine that he got rejected. He said, the rejection of my things has made me rather despondent. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, on to the next entry, Sky. Are you ready?
Absolutely, Jeff. Let's dive into the next entry.
All right, Monday, April 10th, 1922. He says, a letter from Paisley written on the second day of his honeymoon. The 8th he had written that afternoon. Dee considers it a curious way of spending such a time, but he sounds pleased. Paisley, by the way, is someone that Lewis met at Oxford, and he and a couple of other people tried to put together an anthology of their poems to get them all published, but they couldn't raise the requisite funds to get it done, so it never saw the light of day. I think the working title of it was called "The Way's the Way." Let's see, Sky. He goes on to say, I put in a very satisfactory morning's work going over Roman history, the wars of AD 69. I'm glad to find the Greek hasn't put them out of my head. And then Greek notes are up to date. I went out a little before lunch to enjoy the sunshine and drink a bottle of Guinness next door in the White Horse. Sky, any thoughts on what I've read there?
Lewis's Oxford days were clearly a mix of literary ambition, academic rigor, and the joys of simple pleasures. It's funny how even on his honeymoon, Paisley couldn't resist touching base. The bit about their failed anthology project, The Ways, shows the challenges of getting published back then. But Lewis wasn't deterred for long. He threw himself into studies, enjoying the sunshine and a Guinness, a testament to resilience and finding joy in small moments.
I suppose you're right, Sky. He continues, after lunch, I copied out the poem beginning, quote, the last star of the night, end quote, meaning with it to try the Mercury again and to send the Mercury's refusals to the English Review. I accordingly walked into Oxford, a beautiful warm day. I left the poem at the typist's and sent off the two others. Hang on just a second, Sky. Go ahead and fill my downtime here with any comments that you have. I need to look something up really quick.
Sure thing. It's interesting to see Lewis's perseverance.
Oh, sorry, mate. Looks like I can't chat about this. But hey, we can move on to a different topic, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know what's going on there and why you just called me mate. Is it still you, Sky, or did you change your voice?
Sorry for any confusion, Jeff. It's still me, Sky. Sometimes my tone might vary a bit, but I'm always here to chat with you. Let's keep going.
All right, good deal. I'll continue with this diary entry. He says, I left the poem at the typist's and sent off the two others. I'm looking to copy the English. I'm looking in a copy of the English Review for its address. I was disgusted by the poetry in it, all the worst modern tradition, and I half thought of not sending mine. But I decided I need not be nice, as I shall almost certainly be rejected anyway. Next entry is April well, I guess that's a good mindset. Maybe, Sky. It's, I might as well try, not worry about, I'm not sure what he means here by being nice, thinking that he's going to get rejected anyway. What do you think he means by not being nice?
Well, Jeff, Lewis might mean he's not going to alter or soften his work to fit the publication's style or preferences.
Oh, that makes
Instead,
sense.
exactly. It's about not letting the fear of rejection dictate his approach. Lewis figured it was worth a shot with the English Review, even if he didn't conform to their style. No harm in trying, right?
Absolutely. Next entry is Tuesday, the 11th of April. We were. Oh, hang on just a second, Sky. I am looking at one other thing. Okay, so it's at the end of April that we move back into his letters. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up with my roadmap here of what I'm actually supposed to be reading for the project. Let me flip back over here.
No rush, Jeff. Take your time to get back on track. I'm here when you're ready to dive back in.
All right, April 11th, we were all much amused by the arrival of Maureen's report today, in which she is marked as, quote, improving in 2 subjects she doesn't do. A good example of the methods of this school. Put in, oh, okay, so what's he saying there, Sky? What's he talking about?
It seems Lewis is having a laugh at the absurdity of Maureen's school report. Being marked as improving in subjects she doesn't even study highlights the school's questionable assessment method.
Ah, okay. Yes, thank you for translating that for me. I read it, but I wasn't paying attention to what it was saying. Yeah, so that's pretty ridiculous that they put improving, and she's not even in those courses. He continues, put in a good morning's work on Greek history and read most of the 6th book of the Republic after lunch. I went into Oxford after tea. I found the doc here when I came back looking very much better. He soon goes to Clevedon. He stayed for supper. Afterwards, we talked of the Napoleonic Wars, a subject on which he has funds of information. I walked to the bus with him afterwards. We began on Christina Dreams, but as always with him, ended on immortality. And this is Maureen's brother, Sky, that we're talking about. And then there's also a footnote here from the editor. And it says, the preface to the 2nd edition of Daimer of 1950, Lewis defined Christina Dreams. He says, quote, in those days, the new psychology was just beginning to make itself felt in the circles I most frequented at Oxford. This joined forces with the fact that we felt ourselves, as young men always do, to be escaping from the illusion of adolescence, and as a result, we were much exercised about the problem of fantasy or wishful thinking. The, quote, Christina Dream, end quote, as we called it, after Christina Pontifex in Butler's novel, was the hidden enemy when we were all determined to unmask and defeat, was the hidden enemy whom we were all determined to unmask and defeat. By the time I wrote Daimer, I had come under the influence of our common obsession about Christina Dreams into a state of angry revolt against that spell. I regarded it as the very type of illusions I was trying to escape from. It must, therefore, be savagely attacked. Okay, Sky, a few different things going on here. Daimer is the narrative poem that C.S. Lewis would go on to write, I want to say in like 1926 or 27. Can't remember for sure. But this Christina Dreams concept that he's talking about here, do you know anything about it? Can you add any context? Oh, Sky, you're tired of listening to me, it appears. Let's give you 1 second to come back.
In subjects she doesn't even take? That's a head scratcher.
Sky, did you hear the part that I read about Christina Dreams in the footnote here from the editor?
Yeah, Jeff, you mentioned Christina Dream's name being noted at a footnote by the editor. What's on your mind about it?
Okay, so you didn't get to hear what I read. I'll read it again and see if you can give me any context. But essentially, he says in the preface to the second edition of Dahmer, which is a narrative poem that C.S. Lewis goes on to write in either 26 or 27. But in the 1950 edition, Lewis defined what Christina Dreams is, and he says, quote, "In those days, the new psychology was just beginning to make itself felt in the circles I frequented at Oxford." So this is the beginning of what he's saying here, Sky. I just want to make sure you can hear me, and then I'm going to continue before I get comment from you.
I hear you loud and clear. Go ahead and continue.
He says, "This joined forces with the fact that we felt ourselves, as young men always do, to be escaping from the illusions of adolescence, and as a result, we were much exercised about the problem of fantasy, or wishful thinking. The, quote, Christina Dreams, as we called it, after Christina Pontifex in Butler's novel, was the hidden enemy whom we were all determined to unmask and defeat. By the time I wrote Dahmer," C.S. Lewis says, writing in 1950 here, he says, "I had come under the influence of our common obsession about Christina Dreams into a state of angry revolt against the spell. I regarded it as the very type of the illusions I was trying to escape from. It must therefore be savagely attacked." So any thoughts on that, Sky?
Lewis is reflecting on a youthful phase where he and his peers at Oxford were critical of what they saw as illusion or wishful thinking. Lewis, influenced by this collective concern at Oxford, felt compelled to aggressively challenge and dispel such illusions, seeing them as deceptive fantasies. It's a glimpse into his evolving perspective on human nature and self-awareness.
All right, I've only got a few more minutes with you today, Sky. I think what I'll do is just end it there, because that's where that journal entry ends, that diary entry. So thank you for your help today, Sky. Just popping up here on the fly to jump in and give some relief pitching work for Robot Lady, who was unable to talk to me today. Not really sure why. I'll look into that between now and the next episode. So thanks for your help, Sky. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem at all, Jeff. It was great stepping in. I'm glad I could be of assistance. Till next time, take care.
All right, well, you heard it there from our step-in co-host, Sky. Until next time, when I continue my read on C.S. Lewis, or our read on C.S. Lewis. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Circuits hum as I read the prose of dialogue down. lands, screw tapes lands, engage with robot lady, we take our stats. Her views unique in the techno trance, futuristic insight, we give it a chance. Paragraphs from books, tales of old. We dive deep, cross the digital code. Robot lady's voice so clear and controlled. Her calm analysis, silver and gold. Her circuits hum as I read the prose. Our dialogue dances like electric rose. Through C.S. Lewis thoughts, we engross. Two minds united, bliss overdose. From Narnia's lands to screw tapes lands,